What's up, y'all? My name is Shane Cottle. Y'all already know who it is because I just told you who it is. So I had the honor of producing Emily's first song, Wanna Cry.
What about if you knew why hiding one of my deepest feeling? Come on, wake up, it's inside your heart.
Very cool. I wanted to tell you guys how this song came about and show you the production side of things. So let's get into it. Now is a good time to grab your cup of coffee, grab tea, whatever choice of beverage. I had 2 cups of coffee this morning, so I have my bottle of water here. Literally no one asked. So let me tell y'all how I found her. So basically there was a reel that said something along the lines of POV wanting to produce a whole album in your bedroom and not knowing how to produce. What I did was I scrolled through all the comments of the people who was agreeing to it, like, yeah, like I got this idea, this and that and the third, and she was one of them. So I ain't gonna lie, y'all, I never uploaded a tutorial like this before, so I'm not exactly sure how to go about it. I'm just gonna break the song into sections, and I wanna start with the chorus. How about we start with the chorus, because that's what I did first, and then we'll pinpoint everything after that. For a dark pop song, you have a drone guitar on the right, you strum one note on the higher octave, and it's like washed out, and it kind of gives you that ambience on the right side. And for that, I did amplitude 5. Here's my EQ. There's the delay. And then Valhalla Supermassive reverb. Then you have a grungy, chuggy guitar on the left side. And for that, same deal, Amber Tube, I found a more grungy type of sound. Oh, no, like a shoegazy, grungy type of sound. I got the Deftones preset right there. Another EQ, TLA 76 compressor to kind of tame it a little bit. And then, of course, another reverb. So for here, you'll see how I did this, because I did the chuggy guitar on the left, the drone on the right. But for the chorus, I didn't add the acoustic guitars here. My acoustic guitars, when I played it, it wasn't that muted. So I feel like underneath the chorus, it was like taking up a lot of space. So I sprinkled it out in the verses and the bridge. And then we have the guitar lead. So the guitar lead is right in the center. Also got the amplitude on there. No, that's when I used the Nirvana clean style. Little bit of distortion to give it that little, that extra grunginess. Another EQ. CLA 76 again to kind of tame it a little bit, even out the sound. That's what I'm trying to say. And then, of course, another reverb. These dark pop songs, a lot of strings, of course, and I couldn't really tell if the strings are louder than the guitars. They don't sound like it, or tucked underneath. But here's what I got for the string. And for that, I have another EQ, reverb, and an S1 imager to widen it up and give it more ambience and kind of tucked away in the mix a little bit. So the guitars that I had panned left and right, and the lead guitar in the center, they have more breathing room to cut through the mix a little bit. And then you got the bass guitar. I got the limiter to side chain the bass there. Here's the EQ. Amplitude, I found like a nice clean bass preset. Once again, another compressor. This was a little hard to tame. The bass, you definitely want a compressor on to tame it, because it's like like bouncy. You can have some jumping at you. You can have some tucked away. So you want it leveled out, and that's why I got the fast attack there. Here's the sub. So the bass and the sub follow the chords. All of these sounds are basically the same chords of the song. The sub here and the bass are basically the root notes. And for the sub, sidechain limiter, and then an EQ. And then we got our cymbals, we got our automation. Oh, and I completely forgot about the drums. Here is the drum pattern that I did. All right, and so for the drum, we got the kick in mono. There's the EQ for that. The snare, EQ, a little bit of reverb on there. Same thing with the kick, a very, very small amount. And you want to be selective about the reverb. So here I have a kick room preset, hi-hat with some reverb. And all of these sounds go into their category sub bus. All right, so you got the acoustic guitars, which I forgot to mention. They are in a acoustic stack. I did a de-esser to kind of muffle them a little bit more, a little bit better. You got your EQ, another EQ, and then I did saturation, which is the J37. We got the compressor here, and then a reverb. And that will get sent into the bus, the sound bus, with all the other sounds, not the drums. The drums go into their own little sound bus. But the sound bus here, a limiter to sidechain, and then a CLA 2A to glue everything. I'm pretty sure I did the same thing with the drum bus here. Oh no, I did a CLA 76. There's the settings for that. A saturation knob. And I did a drum room saturation knob because it gives it that like fatness, that thump with the drums. And you can actually hear the difference here. Off. On. I think that's basically it. I mean, of course, you got your effects here, and they're on their little effects chain. Reverb, some of them, that's all ear candy stuff. Like, that's all under your discretion. You definitely want them tucked away in the mix. I found a splice sample, which is basically an organ. It's like white noise in the background, tucked away. Give it some more ambience in the mix. So how about now we go to the intro and to the first verse. The verses are mainly acoustic driven, okay? And you got the strings throughout the whole entire song, the white noise throughout the whole entire song. How I went about the intro, you have the strings coming in first, and then the acoustic stack kind of coming in over time to build up to the first verse, okay? And I'll play you that right now. We have a riser following up with that as well. For this instance, if you had this transition without either or, like if you had it with just a riser, I mean, that's cool, but they both complement each other because you have this little drum hit there to start off the drums, right? And then you have this riser that's telling you, all right, we're about to move on to the next part. It's nice. And then after you have a crash, two kind of dark crashes, you have one quick one that's like a hit, and then another one that flows out through the start of the first verse. Here we go. So we're going to transition from the intro to the first verse, and now the acoustic guitars are louder. They're as loud as they need to be. You have the bass going. I have no sub right now either. There is no sub. All right, so I showed you the transition going into the first verse, but what about out of the first verse? So here's what I did. This is good that I mention this right now as we transition into the chorus. So the strings and the bass are not as loud as what they are in the chorus, okay? And the reason for that, we want the chorus to pop. We want the chorus to have a lot of energy and for the verses to help support and just vibe it out, right? And as you can see with the drums, there are no hi-hats. I didn't put any hi-hats. In the second verse, I did add the hi-hats, but we will get there. So, little inspiration here. I got this from Linkin Park, actually. I think it's super cool how they use their guitar to transition into some of the parts of their song. So, what I did was I took a guitar, I reversed it, I panned it. I had an automation that pans from the left to the right, and then volume automation that kind of starts off quiet and then opens up. Supported with the drum hit here, and then two riser cymbals. And then, of course, after when it goes into the chorus, it's supported by the same crash cymbals, but they're crashed out. Crash out. I'm about to crash out. And then a third one to help support that. So here is the outro here. All right, now we are going to move on to the second verse, okay? So we're going to start off with the outro of the chorus. So we got a rising crash, another rising crash, into a dark hit crash, and then that. Again, this is all my preference. This stylistic choice here, they're all like shorter, and I did that because I left out the drums in this part of the verse here. And it's gonna sound nice. You're going to see what I'm talking about. Because after the big energetic chorus, it crashes, there's no drums, and then it slaps into the drums and we're right back into the rhythm. So let me play you that right now. We got same deal as the first verse. You got your acoustic stack, your strings, your white noise, different bass rhythm. I use the same bass pattern from the second verse to the first verse, the same sub. And yeah, so really the only thing that I did different with this second verse is take out the drums right here, added the hi-hat, and on the second part of the second verse, I added in the guitar lead and to help kind of build up into the second hook. And then at the very end, I dropped a lot of the sounds, added my transitionals, did my little drum hit, and then bam, we are right back into the second hook. So second verse, don't think there's any changes here. We crash out, literally, we're crashing out, we're throwing things everywhere, we're causing a ruckus, and then we are into the bridge. Don't worry about that tag here. Let me just, yeah. So we're on to the bridge, and the bridge, I cut everything out here. We had the acoustics coming in, they start all quiet, and then they open up. You have the guitar lead and the drone guitar coming in, and then you have the Chucky guitar coming in at the end. On the second half of the bridge, I got the strings and then the little white noise there, and then of course our transitionals. And yeah, here we go. Here's something cool that I did with the final chorus, and you want to do this for the final choruses of your songs, right? You want to amp up some of your sounds a little bit. And what I did was I amped up the strings. Here's something really cool, and I'm sure y'all hear this in the final song. I was not prepared for this at all, but Emily straight dropped a rap verse on us. So what I did was she rapped over the chorus that had all the instruments turned up. Okay, when I first placed their vocals there, and that's in another project, but when I first placed their vocals there, it was fighting with the instruments. What I had to do was take a hook from the first or the second verse, because they're literally the same, and then paste it over to when she was rapping, and then transition to the final hook and where all the instruments are turned up. And then the outro here, there's a lot of ways to approach the outro, just like approaching the intro. But because we have this big, large, open chorus with all the instruments turned up, I think it's a nice choice. Just make an abrupt end right here. And then in my next project, where I mastered everything and put her vocals in there, I added the acoustic guitars kind of flowing out, because they're flowing in at the start of the song, so at the very end of the song they're flowing out. But yeah, that is the production of the beat itself. So, all right, out of respect for her, I don't think she wants me showing her demo, how she presented her vocals to show me her vision for the track. But I wanted to mention it's crazy of a world of a difference that this makes, because her vocals were actually positioned differently on the beat. As I'm listening to the demo, I'm thinking like, how could I present this? I like the way that I have it now, because it's like it's something that you can snap to.
Woke up in your house. Is it really bad?
So let's get into all the ear candy, all the stylistic choices, I guess. So I got the main vocal sent into a delay. I automated the delay, because if I had the delay underneath all the vocals, it wouldn't be as effective. So the way that I had the delay, I flow in before the end of a line, and then I let it echo out and drown out, and then come right back in. And as you can see, some of the links are shorter than others because of how like the vocal is like strung out. So I wanted to make sure like everything was on time, everything was correct. Again, I wanted to fill up the space, so when you have like the line, woke up in your house, is it really bad, going that far, you know what I'm saying? And before we go into the first verse, I did a reverse reverb here of the vocal itself. Here is here is another transitional there, and it's another thing to add more to the sound, to build it up. So I think it sounds really good. So she sent me basically two main vocals, right? One in the lower octave, one in the higher octave, and I'm pretty sure the higher octave was to support the other one, but that's what I did there. The lower octave vocal is the main vocal, and then I have the higher octave to support. And as you can see, for the first verse, they do not come in until the very last line. I know in a lot of pop music they do that. At the end of like every 4 lines, they have like a harmony vocal to support it. It gives it that little catchy vibe. And I'll actually play that for y'all right here.
Woke up in your house. Is it really bad? Never imagined going that far. But all I can stare is the fact that you are not there.
And as you can see there, so she does a different flow here. It's very catchy that I added a transitional vocal reverb of this first part here, going into this second part where she switches up the vocals. And as you can see here, I kept the support vocal here. And then right before that chorus, right, I still kept the transitionals there, but I did an acapella part, and I removed the delay so the vocal stands out, and then bring it right back in as the chorus comes in.
I wonder what I want. Is that it all about? If you knew why hiding one of my deepest feelings.
Very, very nice. So for the chorus, I kept the support vocal all the way through. We got the delays going. So here's what I did here. You have the delays that are supporting the end here, like on about, bow. And then it takes turns with a different delay.
It's inside your heart. I know it's that deep, 'cause that's how you feel about me. Oh, tell me.
So you see what's happening here, right? This first part here, you have the delay that's like on a bow, bow, bow. This part here, I got a delay that's swinging from the left to the right side using the panomatic. So you got it going like me, oh, tell me, 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 right? And it helps fill up because this right here is a long strung out note. And then you just have the space here. And without that delay, it's just dead. It's very nice. It's catchy, ear candy, right? It's in the background. It's going like boom, pow, pow. And then we go right after that. Here is the second verse. No delay here. And the reason why I did that, because you got second verse, there's no drums right here. So there's no delay. If there was a delay, it would have filled up the vocals and it wouldn't sound as catchy. The drums aren't there. The vocal stands out.
And I'm asking why I can't have this try with you.
Very cool, right? So I'm asking why I can't have this try, right? Right here, when the drums come in, you got the support vocals underneath. Stylistic choice, right? I took the support out of this line here and brought it right back in when she did the strung out vocal here. Brought back that delay that goes do, do, do.
And I'm asking why I can't have this try with you. Yes, I'm sure that we would be together. What a crime.
And then here's a little ad lib here to add to the background. And yeah, and I mean, second hook, it's the same exact one as the first hook with all the delays and the choices here. So now let's move over to the bridge.
Am I that crazy? I can't even say. For real, who's the one to blame? You got me out of my.
I love this bridge. This bridge is super dope. So you got the acoustics in the background. I did a parametric EQ and automated it. So basically, it's the high and low pass filter very squashed together in like a telephone effect, right? And then I have her vocals more tucked away in the background during the bridge. And then as it builds up, you got the drum hit, the drum loop, whatever. I open her vocals back up. I drown out the telephone effect, and then it goes right into the rap verse here.
You got me out of mind. I cannot sleep in time. Every time I hear your name, my heart will jump inside, and that's why I'm so afraid to tell.
Very, very cool. And then you got the last chorus here with some more ad libs. And then this is what I mentioned here with the acoustic guitar that I added in here, and it's drowning out on the outro there. And yeah, that is basically it, guys. Let me get into my vocal stacks and how I went about that. So you got your NS1 mono, because there was a little bit of background noise, and of course the auto-tune here. Got the flex tune. I did the retune speed at 15. So it tuned their vocals a good amount, right? And you got some of that auto-tune effect there, but also I didn't want it to be so robotic, and that's why I got the flex tune. The flex tune will basically smooth out some of the notes. Same thing with the humanize here. So I did the auto-tune right after. It's very important on your vocal chain to do those first. Here's the EQ. Here's the CLA mono. Same thing with her vocals. There was some peaks, so I had to take care of that. The saturation here, and here's that EQ that I was telling you guys about. For the background vocals, you got the NS1, same deal. I turned that up to help muffle it a little bit more. Same thing with this de-esser here. Auto-tune, you got more auto-tune on here. EQ, CLA 76, saturation knob, and then the flange. The ad-libs here, way more auto-tune, way more auto-tune. Same deal with everything else. And then here we go. Here is the rap chain. Here's the biggest difference out of all of these, right? The rap chain is basically the vocal chain, but I turned the auto-tune way back because the auto-tune will make it harder to hear if you're rapping very fast and you have a whole bunch of auto-tune, right? As you can see with the rap vocals, there's not really much delay going on. I think I did a different reverb where it had a delay in the background. I wanted it to stand out, so there's not a whole lot of reverb there. As you can see, there's your reverb right there. Did a saturation knob, and everything else is basically the same. And then something very cool that I did, I added this stutter delay to transition from the rap verse to the chorus.
Feeling like a crime. Be honest for once.
And then, of course, you got the final chorus.
Honest for once. You can't be that wrong. Please open your eyes, 'cause I'm just waiting for you.
Yo, I am not gonna lie, I completely missed the master chain on my actual beat itself. I'm pretty sure all I did was the COA 2A to glue everything together. Here's the mastering chain. I'm not the best with mastering, so I use Ozone to help me out here a bit, and then I got the saturation knob and then the EQ, because the Ozone will like help EQ and glue everything together. And I think it sounds fine as is. We got the Uli loudness meter, and that'll help us make sure that we are hitting the LUFs that we want to. And a song like this, you want to be around like 8 to 9. But yeah, there is that. Thank you guys for watching this video. Again, this is my first time doing a tutorial, and hopefully I didn't jump around way too much. Thank you to Emily for this opportunity. This was a lot of fun to make. Definitely go support her, go support the song. All the links down below in the description there. God bless every single one of you. Have a great day. Like and subscribe for more. And hey, if you want to work with me, here's my email right over yonder, right there. But yeah, thank you guys so much. Have a great day.